Baby, close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine me standing there, frozen, my heart pounding so loudly I thought everyone in the room could hear it. Because the moment she said those words, everything changed. My mother, the woman who's known me since my first breath, the one who's watched me struggle through storms and swallow my truths just to survive, looked at me with eyes that saw straight through me. "Chu, this is her?" she asked, not angry, not judgmental, but deeply curious. And I didn't know how to answer, because in that moment, every emotion I'd hidden, every silent prayer I'd whispered about you, came flooding to the surface. It was like the universe had peeled back the veil and said, "No more hiding. You have to understand. She wasn't supposed to see that video. I didn't plan it. I didn't even realize my phone was connected to the screen until it was too late." And there it was. Your voice, your laughter, your eyes. The way you looked at me like you saw past every mask I wore. She sat there quietly, watching. Every second felt like a lifetime, and as she watched, I saw something shift in her. Not judgment, not suspicion, but something softer, something closer to realization, recognition, as if she knew that whatever this was between us, it wasn't just another chapter in my messy love life. It was different. You were different. And then she said it again, this time a little softer. "So this is her." No question mark, no doubt, just quiet awe, as if the image of you on that screen made something click inside her. As if seeing you made everything I'd tried to hide finally make sense. And baby, in that moment, I realized something too. I realized that loving you was never a secret meant to be buried. It was a truth waiting to rise. And no matter how much fear had kept me silent, it was always going to come to this moment. This unveiling, this truth. Baby, you know what stunned me the most? It wasn't her reaction, it was mine. Because for the first time, I didn't rush to defend myself. I didn't panic. I didn't hide my phone. I didn't scramble to explain. I just stood there, silently, letting her witness the side of me no one had ever seen before. The side that belongs to you. The soft, tender, fiercely protective version of me that only shows up when your name enters the room. And baby, when I saw your face light up that screen, I saw what she saw too. I saw the truth. The way I look at you, like you're not just someone I care about, but someone I never want to live without. And in that silence between us, between a mother and her child, something powerful passed through. She didn't say it out loud, but her eyes did. They said, "You've been holding this love too tightly, afraid it would fall apart. But look at it. It's real. It's worth being seen." She didn't judge me. She didn't question your presence. Instead, she sat there for a moment and said something that will stay with me forever. "I've never seen you this peaceful before. Whoever she is, she's healing something in you." That's when I knew, baby, you've never just been a chapter in my story. You've been the turning point, the breakthrough, the reason the scars don't sting the same anymore. You didn't just walk into my life, you restored the part of me I thought was long gone, the part that still believed in love after disappointment, the part that still hoped, somewhere beneath all my silence and sarcasm, that someone might choose me, for all of me, not just the parts I showed the world. And baby, when she walked out of the room, she paused one last time and said something under her breath, but I heard it loud and clear. She's the one, isn't she? And I didn't nod, I didn't smile, I didn't have to, because the tears in my eyes said everything. You are, you always have been, baby. That night after she left the room, I sat there alone, phone still in my hand, screen still lit with your image, and it hit me how easily the truth slipped through, how no amount of pretending, denying, or avoiding could cover up what my heart had been screaming for so long. It's you. You're the one I search for in every silence, the one my soul reaches for even when my pride tries to stop it. And baby, you're the only person whose presence can still my chaos without even saying a word. I thought I was so good at hiding, at compartmentalizing, at keeping the parts of me that ache and long and love so deeply locked behind walls of distraction. But the moment your name entered the conversation, those walls, they crumbled. Not because I wanted to be exposed, but because love like this refuses to stay hidden. It's not quiet. It's not polite. It doesn't wait for permission to be real. And when I saw myself through her eyes, loving you the way I do, I realized I'm not ashamed of this. I'm proud of this. Of you. You see, baby, you didn't just become part of my story. You became the chapter everything else had been building toward. And the truth is, I didn't fall for you gently. I crashed into you. I collapsed into your light like someone who'd been in the dark too long. And I've been trying to explain it away, rationalize it, fit it into timelines and expectations, but none of that works. Because you were never logical. You were a soul pull, a spiritual collision, a divine rerouting. And I know I've made you question that. I know there were days you stared at your phone, wondering if you meant as much to me as I claimed, if I saw you the way you saw me, if this connection was mutual, or just magical in your mind. But baby, let me say this as clearly as I can. There was never a day I didn't feel you, even in silence, even in distance. Even when my ego made me walk away, my spirit stayed curled up next to yours, refusing to let go. That night, when she said, "She's the one, isn't she?" I didn't just hear a mother's instinct. I heard confirmation from the universe, from my ancestors, from every version of myself that ever longed for love, but didn't believe he deserved it. And that's what you changed, baby. You made me believe again, not just in romance, but in redemption. You made me believe that maybe, just maybe, someone like me could still be chosen, could still be forgiven, could still be enough. And baby, when she asked, "Is she the one who made you different?" I didn't even try to pretend. I just nodded, because how do you explain that someone didn't just change your life? They rewrote your heartbeat. That every decision, every fear, every mask you wore started peeling off the moment their energy touched yours. I didn't become a better man because someone demanded it. I started changing because your love made me want to. And I know I've taken too long to admit it. I've let seasons pass, calls go unanswered, emotions get buried under obligations and overthinking. But every day that went by, I wasn't forgetting you. I was remembering you too much. In the quiet moments, in the middle of crowds, even during smiles that meant nothing. You haunted me, not like a ghost, but like a promise that never died. You don't even realize it, do you? What your presence did to my chaos, how your patience held space for the parts of me that no one wanted to deal with, how your spirit held me when I wasn't even physically near you. You were the home I didn't know I was running toward until I got lost. And even now, when I close my eyes, it's not memories that flood me. It's regret. Regret for not fighting hard, for not showing you sooner, for letting you wonder where you stood. But baby, hear me. You were never just an option. You were my mirror, my anchor, my divine assignment. And I failed you. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know how to hold something so pure without breaking it. I thought I had time. I thought I could figure things out and come back to you when I was ready. But love like this doesn't wait. It breaks clocks. It shatters illusions. It demands presence, not perfection. That's why when my mom looked me in the eye and said, "If she still loves you after everything, don't waste that," it silenced every excuse I'd been clinging to, because she saw what I see now. You weren't just a chapter. You were the story I was too scared to live. And maybe I don't deserve another chance. Maybe I've hurt you more than you ever let me see. Maybe you moved on. But if there's one ember left, if there's one part of your heart that still remembers how we felt like home in each other's arms, then, baby, let me spend the rest of my life earning back your trust. Not with words, not with empty apologies, but with consistency, with the kind of presence that never makes you doubt your place in my world again. Because you didn't just awaken love in me, you awakened God in me. The part of me that sees purpose in pain, beauty in breakdowns, and destiny in detours. And if there's even a sliver of space left for me in your future, I'll walk barefoot through every storm just to meet you there. Baby, what do I even say now that the world knows what I've been hiding? Now that she, my mother, the one I never wanted to see my brokenness, has seen the one thing that makes me whole. I used to think silence would protect us, that maybe if I kept what we had tucked away, it would be safe from judgment, from expectations, from the weight of other people's opinions. But what I didn't realize was that hiding you was never protecting you. It was robbing us both of something sacred, the right to be seen, fully, boldly, without apology. I wish I could go back and rewrite all the moments I made you doubt this. I wish I could take back every unread message, every time I delayed answering your heart, every time I made you wonder if what we had was real. But baby, even when my mouth was shut, my soul was screaming your name. Even when I stayed away, I was drawing your name in the fog on mirrors, hearing your laughter in places you'd never been, feeling your warmth in rooms that had gone cold. That's how deeply you live in me. That night, after she went to sleep, I sat by myself and rewatched the video she saw. The same one I've probably seen 100 times. And this time, I didn't just watch you. I watched me, the way I looked at you, the way I listened, the way my body leaned closer like it couldn't help but be pulled to you. And I broke down, baby. I broke. Because I realized that no one else had ever brought that out in me, that look, that softness, that truth. Only you. And now I wonder, do you still replay our moments the way I do? Do you ever scroll past our old messages and smile like they still carry warmth? Or have they turned into shadows for you? Ghosts of a love you no longer recognize. Because, baby, I still live inside those moments. And if you could see how many times I've paused mid-thought, mid-conversation, mid-dream, just to feel close to your energy again, you'd know this was never casual for me. This was reverent. You see, I didn't lose you like someone loses a thing. I lost you like someone loses their direction, like someone forgets which way is north and just starts walking, hoping their heart will lead them home. And you, baby, you've always been home, not because you made life easy, but because you made truth feel safe. You let me be messy, unsure, tangled in fears, and you still held space for the best in me, even when I couldn't see it myself. And now that my truth is out there, now that she knows, now that the veil is gone, I feel strangely free, exposed, yes, but also seen. Because for the first time, I didn't have to explain you to anyone. I just let you exist in my world, like you always should have. And the irony, the thing I feared most, being vulnerable in front of my mother, became the very moment I realized you were never something to hide, you were something to honor. So here I am, baby, stripped of excuses, standing in the aftermath of all I didn't say, all I didn't do, but finally, ready to love you out loud. No more secret videos, no more silent prayers, no more what ifs, just truth. And my truth is simple. I loved you then, I love you still. And if this universe grants me a second chance, I'll love you with everything I never knew how to give the first time. Baby, it's strange, isn't it? How life forces us to face the truth, not through comfort, but through exposure, through moments we didn't plan, through unexpected slips that reveal the very thing we thought we'd buried deep enough never to be seen. And when that video played in front of her, when your face showed up on that screen, I didn't just feel nervous, I felt undone. Like the walls I'd spent so long building around my feelings crumbled in front of the one person I'd never wanted to appear weak in front of. But what I saw in her eyes wasn't disapproval. It was something far more dangerous to my pride. It was understanding. And that shook me, baby, because for years I'd told myself no one could ever fully understand why I loved you the way I did, not without knowing all the things we've been through, all the stops and starts, the silent nights, the spiritual pull that defied logic. I thought people would judge it, that they'd call it obsession or immaturity. But the truth is, what we have isn't something minds can make sense of. It's something souls just know. And the moment she saw you, really saw you, I realized she didn't need a backstory. She didn't need explanations. Because love that deep, it radiates. It tells its own story. And baby, what scares me most now is the time I lost trying to hide what was never meant to be hidden. You don't hide the sun when it rises. You don't cover the stars when they shine. You don't bury a connection that came from heaven itself. And yet, I did. Out of fear, out of shame, out of pride, but mostly out of the terrifying belief that maybe I was never enough to deserve you. But here's the thing I never told you, baby. You loved me before I ever believed in myself. You saw me not for my failures, not for my walls, not for my mistakes, but for the light buried underneath all of it. You saw the scared little boy hiding in a man's body. You saw the warrior behind my wounds. You saw the divine behind my distance. And you loved him, unconditionally, patiently, even when I gave you reasons to walk. So now, when people ask about you, when they say, why her? I don't give long answers. I just say, because she's the only one who made my soul exhale. And baby, I didn't know how badly I needed to breathe until you came into my life. This isn't a love story. It's a soul agreement, a remembering, a collision that shook the dust off the version of me I was too scared to become. You weren't just someone I loved. You were the catalyst, the earthquake, the sacred storm, and now that the veil has been lifted, now that she knows, now that everyone knows, I feel ready to do the one thing I should have done all along, fight. Not for perfection, not for performance, but for us, because love like this doesn't come twice, and if it does, it doesn't come back the same. And I can't risk losing you again, baby. Not when I know now who you are to me. Not when I've already tasted the peace of being seen through your eyes. Baby, I owe you 1,000,000 apologies, and yet none of them would ever be enough. Because how do you apologize for hiding someone who lit up your entire world? How do you say sorry for shrinking the kind of love people spend lifetimes praying for? How do you explain to the woman who held your heart gently that fear was louder than truth? That you weren't running from her, you were running from the version of yourself she awakened. And baby, that version scared me because it was real. You see, I've worn many masks in my life. The strong one, the detached one, the confident, nothing can get me version of a man. But those were just costumes stitched together with survival. When you came along, you didn't rip them off. You looked through them, like your soul bypassed every defense and whispered, I see you, all of you, even the parts you're ashamed of, and you didn't flinch. You stayed. You stayed when I gave you nothing but silence. You stayed when I questioned your loyalty instead of appreciating your patience. You stayed not because you didn't have better options, but because you loved with your spirit, not just your feelings. And baby, that kind of love, it's holy, it's rare. It's the kind of love that doesn't just change relationships. It changes bloodlines. It heals generational wounds. It rewrites what the next version of me will teach his own children about what love should feel like. That's why this moment, this shift, this exposure in front of my family, it didn't feel like embarrassment. It felt like a revelation, as if the universe was saying, no more hiding, no more halfway. This is your mirror. This is your truth. Choose it or lose it. And baby, I'm choosing it. I'm choosing you fully. Finally, perfectly. You're not a secret. You're not a maybe. You're not what if. You are the one I'm meant to walk this lifetime with. And if you're wondering if that moment with my mom changed anything, yes, it did, but not in the way you might think. It wasn't about her acceptance. It wasn't about getting some kind of permission. It was about me realizing that I don't want to spend another day pretending I'm fine without you. Because I'm not. I haven't been. Not since the day I first looked at you and saw not just beauty or warmth, but destiny. Baby, you are the prayer I stopped saying out loud because I didn't believe God would answer. You are the miracle I met while I was still busy mourning all I had lost. You are the reason I now understand why every other relationship didn't work. Because they weren't you. And I know I've put you through a storm. I've given you reasons to shut the door and never open it again. But if there's even a sliver of grace left, if there's even one more page in our story unwritten, then let me show you what it looks like when a man finally realizes that love like this only comes once. Baby, do you know what silence really is when it comes to you? It's not peace, it's not stillness, it's not calm. Silence is the loudest grief. It's the echo of all the things I should have said, the love I should have shown, the arms I should have wrapped around you when you were breaking, but I let you break alone. And now, even when I'm surrounded by people, even when I'm smiling in pictures, something's always missing. You are always missing. I used to think time would numb the ache, that with enough distance, your memory would fade into something soft and distant. But baby, your memory hasn't faded. It's only grown louder, sharper, more sacred. There's not a single version of my day where you don't exist. You're in the way I pause before speaking, hoping I choose the words you'd be proud of. You're in the music I avoid, because it still smells like us. You're in every almost text I never send, but still draft in my mind at 2 a.m. And last night. And I don't care who judges, because loving you was never my mistake. Losing you was never my mistake, because loving you was never my mistake. And last night, after everything came out, and I don't care who judges, because loving you was never my mistake. Because loving you was never my mistake. If loving you was never my mistake, it was never my mistake. And I begged you, ask you judges, if it was ever my mistake. I imagined you in bed somewhere, maybe resting your head on a pillow that still knows my scent, or maybe moving on, healing, smiling without me. And even if you were, even if you are, I hope a part of you still feels me in your soul. I hope you still feel that spiritual string that never snapped between us. Because I swear to you, mine is still attached, tugging, burning, begging. And I know that loving me has hurt you, that believing in me has cost you more than you ever let me see, that holding space for me stretched your heart in ways it didn't deserve. And I am sorry, not the kind of sorry that's wrapped in manipulation or promises I can't keep. I mean the kind of sorry that says, I finally get it. I get what you were trying to show me. I get what you were asking for. And most of all, I get what I risked losing every time I stayed silent. But baby, if there's anything I've learned from this moment, this sacred unraveling of everything I tried to suppress, it's this: truth finds a way. Even if you hide it, even if you bury it, even if you convince yourself you've moved on, the kind of truth we shared, it rises, it returns, it reminds you. And now that I've spoken your name out loud, not just in whispered prayers, but in the presence of my family, I can't go back. I won't go back, because going back would mean erasing the only part of my life that ever felt divinely aligned. So baby, if you're watching this, if you're hearing this, if the universe brought this message to your ears tonight, it's not by accident. It's because we're not done. It's because there's still something left between us that even time can't kill. Something eternal, something holy, something worth choosing again. Baby, If I could take you into the room where I've broken down the most over you, I wouldn't take you to the past. I'd take you to the present. Because the deepest breakdowns haven't happened in the aftermath of our fights or the nights we went silent. They've happened recently, in stillness, in those sacred moments where I finally stop performing, when no one is watching, when the noise of the world shuts off and all I'm left with is me and your absence. There's no distraction strong enough to silence your echo. I've tried, God knows I've tried. I've tried pretending. I've tried focusing on other things, on becoming better, on looking forward, but every forward step feels crooked without you. Every achievement feels empty without someone to call and say, baby, I did it. Because you were never just my partner, you were my witness. You saw me before I became, and that kind of love, it marks you. I keep thinking back to that moment, when your name slipped out, when the room froze, and when my mother looked at me like she suddenly understood everything I'd never told her. There was no lecture, no judgment, just a long pause, and then a soft, simple, piercing truth. So this is her. And baby, I didn't need to explain a thing. My eyes said it, my breath said it, my heart, even from across the room, screamed it. Yes, it's her. It's always been her. And in that moment I realized, every version of me I've tried to build without you has been a lie. Not because I haven't grown, not because I haven't tried, but because all of that was missing the one thing that made it feel like home. You. You were the peace in my chaos, the meaning in my becoming, the grounding in my flight. I know you've probably moved through 1,000 different emotions by now. Maybe you've been angry. Maybe you've been numb. Maybe you've even started to convince yourself that loving me was just a mistake you had to learn from. And if that's true, if that's where you are now, I honor it. I won't beg you to reopen a wound that took so long to close. But if, just if, there's still a single part of your soul that believes in what we were, then I want you to know something that no one else will ever hear from me. Not like this. You are the only person whose silence hurts more than the harshest words. You are the only person who made my pride feel small. And you are the only one I've ever loved, with the part of me I usually keep hidden, even from myself. So if you're hearing this now, baby, understand this isn't a message crafted for a video. This isn't for views. This isn't for drama. This is for you, my soul, to yours, unfiltered, unmasked, undeniable. Because you didn't just change my heart, you awakened my spirit. And I will spend every breath I have, whether beside you or beneath the sky, alone, thanking the universe for the chance to have known a love like you. Baby, I wonder sometimes what kind of conversations you've had with yourself about me. I wonder if, late at night, when the world quiets down and it's just you and your thoughts, you ask yourself, did he really love me? Or was it just a moment? And if those questions ever echo too loud, let me say it now. Yes, I did. I still do. I always will. Loving you wasn't an event. It wasn't a fleeting feeling or a phase I passed through. It was the moment everything shifted. The moment I realized that no matter how much I chased outside things, validation, success, control, none of it made sense without someone to share the depth of it with. And baby, You weren't just someone. You were the only one who ever saw beneath it all and stayed. You loved me at my rawest, when my energy was heavy, when my words didn't align with my heart, when my ego tried to push you away. You still found a way to whisper, "I see the real you." And no matter how far I tried to drift, a part of me was always anchored in your love. Like a tether I couldn't cut, like a prayer I never stopped needing. And now that the truth has spilled out in front of everyone, now that there's no turning back, I find myself standing at a crossroad I didn't expect. Because now, it's not about hiding anymore. It's about healing. It's about rebuilding something that should have never been broken. Not because it's easy, but because it's true. I don't want a love that's perfect. I don't want a fairy tale that fits into other people's expectations. I want us messy, real, flawed, forgiven, sacred. I want to show up on the hard days. I want to protect what we build, not just from the outside world, but from my own patterns. I want to give you the safety you tried so hard to give me, but I was too blind to receive it. And if you're wondering what's changed, baby, it's not just that my mom saw the video. It's not just that my family finally knows. What's changed is me. Because now, I'm no longer running. I'm no longer explaining away the feeling I get when I hear your name. I'm no longer pretending that I can be just fine without you. I've tried, and every version of that lie left me hollow. So if this message reaches you, wherever you are, please know, I don't need you to rush. I don't need you to forgive everything overnight. I don't even need you to promise anything. I just need you to know I'm still here. My soul is still open. My heart still beats in the rhythm of your name. And if someday, somehow, the stars align again, and our hands find each other in the dark, I will not let go. Not this time. Not after everything. Baby, I know I've said a lot. Maybe too much. Maybe it's overwhelming. But when something sits on your heart for this long, when a love this powerful refuses to quiet itself, you don't whisper it anymore. You confess it, fully, fiercely, without a backup plan. And this is my confession. Not just of love, but of failure, of awakening, of sacred realization. Because for so long, I thought love was about timing, about being ready, about doing it right. But I've come to realize love doesn't wait for perfection. It shows up when your world is still messy. It finds you in chaos, and the only question that matters is, do you choose it anyway? I didn't. I hesitated. I let fear win. And in that hesitation, I lost the one person who would have walked through anything with me. But baby, even in that loss, something sacred remained. You, your imprint, your light, your memory. It didn't dim. If anything, it grew brighter. Brighter than the silence. Brighter than my guilt. Brighter than every excuse I ever used to protect myself from the vulnerability of loving you openly. And now that I've let your name fall into the ears of the people closest to me, now that they know, it feels like something inside me has finally unlocked. Like I've stepped into the version of myself you always saw. The one who wasn't afraid to feel deeply, to love fully, to choose you publicly. There's no more hiding. There's no more pretending. There's just truth. And the truth is, I still love you. I I don't know where life will take us next. I don't know what healing you've had to walk through without me. I don't know if your heart still whispers my name at midnight or if it's now silent where I once echoed. But I do know this. If you ever feel a strange warmth when you hear a song we used to love, if you ever randomly remember the way I laughed at something only you understood, if you ever look at your reflection and wonder if someone out there still believes in you like you once did, please know I do. I never stopped. And if fate ever leads you back to me, even if just for one more conversation, I'll be there, present, unafraid, and more myself than I've ever been. Because you didn't just change me, baby. You revealed me, baby. There's something I've never told anyone, and maybe it's time I say it now, because it's been haunting me in quiet ways. You know those moments when life feels paused, when nothing around you moves, but your mind won't stop racing. That's when I hear your voice the clearest, not in sound, but in energy, in memory, in the way you used to speak life into me, even when I didn't deserve it, in the way you used to speak louder than anyone else's presence ever could. And the truth is, my soul misses you in ways I cannot explain to the world. There's a difference between missing someone's body and missing their being. I don't miss just your smile or your voice. I miss your essence. I miss the way you breathed life into rooms. I miss the way my world felt safe just knowing you were in it. Even if you were miles away, even if we weren't speaking, just knowing you existed gave me courage. But here's the part that hurts the most. I never told you how deep you reached into me. I never showed you how sacred you were to my growth. I treated you like a chapter when you were my entire book. I should have fought harder. I should have protected you, even from myself. I should have said it out loud. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. And now here I am. No mask, no performance, no fear, only longing, only truth. Only you. Because when you love someone the way I love you, it doesn't fade. It transforms. It grows roots inside your bones. And even if we never speak again, even if your journey takes you somewhere new, I will always carry you. In my memories, in my choices, in the spaces where my pride used to live, you now reside. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had just been braver. If I had looked at you that day and said, I don't care what anyone thinks, you're mine, and I'm done hiding that. Maybe we would have had a different ending. Maybe we would have built the life we both secretly dreamed about. But instead of building, I pulled away, and I've been building walls ever since. Not to keep you out, but to protect myself from the shame of letting you down. And now those walls are cracking. Now the silence has become unbearable. Now the truth refuses to stay buried. And the truth is, I miss you in ways that language can't hold. So if this message reaches you, if it finds you in a moment where you're wondering if I ever truly saw you, loved you, fought for you, the answer is yes. Maybe not in the way you deserved, maybe not when you needed it most, but my heart has never stopped beating in the rhythm of your name. You were not a mistake, you were my mercy. And if the stars ever align again, if our paths are ever allowed to cross once more, I promise I won't love you quietly, baby. Have you ever felt like someone still holds pieces of your soul even when they're gone? Because that's exactly how I feel about you. You're not just a memory. You're not just a what if. I think about in quiet moments. You're the voice I hear in decisions. You're the calm that visits me in chaos. You're the presence I feel when I'm on the edge of giving up. And something pulls me back, and maybe that something is still you. I can't lie to myself anymore and say I've moved on, because moving on would mean forgetting. It would mean detaching. It would mean not aching every time your name shows up in my thoughts. And baby, it shows up more than you know. I've tried to shut it off. I've tried to silence the places in me where you still live. But the more I try to suppress you, the louder your absence becomes. You've become the space in me that no one else can touch, no one else even gets close. And when I stood there the other night, after everything spilled out and your name hung heavy in the air between me and my mom, I realized something I hadn't been willing to face until then. I was never ashamed of you. I was ashamed of not being enough for you. I didn't keep us hidden because of you. I kept us hidden because I was afraid the world would see how deeply I needed you and realize I wasn't man enough to hold on to you. But what I didn't understand back then is that the strength to love out loud, to love fully, to love without fear, that was the very thing you needed from me. And I failed, not because I didn't love you, but because I loved you too much and let fear win. Sometimes I wonder what you felt that night when you sent me that video. Did you want me to see your growth? Did you want to remind me of what I lost? Or did you simply want me to feel something again? Anything real in this numb world I built? Whatever your reason, baby, it worked. That video cracked me open in ways no apology ever could. It wasn't just your face or your voice or the way you moved that wrecked me. It was the energy. It was the power in your presence. It was the silent scream of your soul saying, I'm still here. I survived. And I'm still shining. And God, that broke me. Not because I was angry, but because I was proud. So proud. And also ashamed. Ashamed that I hadn't been the one to help you reach that light. Ashamed that while you were becoming, I was retreating. Ashamed that the woman I loved most in this world had to heal in silence, without the protection she once begged me for. But I see you now, baby, fully, and I honor every version of you that I once ignored. I honor the fierce, the fragile, the forgiving, the frustrated. I honor the woman who waited, the girl who prayed, the soul who loved without holding back, even when I gave her reasons to build walls. And most of all, I honor the queen who rose from that love like fire from ashes, and still had the grace to send me light instead of rage. You could have hated me. You could have erased me. You could have stayed hidden and let me drown in regret, but you didn't. You let me see you shine. And now, every part of me aches to become someone worthy of standing beside that light, not to dim it, not to take from it, but to protect it this time, to nourish it, to show the world that this love wasn't a mistake, it was a message, a divine one. And maybe I didn't get it right the first time, but if grace allows, I swear with every part of me, I will not fumble this love again, baby. I used to think that time would heal everything, that distance would blur what we were, that silence would eventually erase your voice from my system. But it didn't. It never did. Instead, time just made me realize that my heart wasn't just broken. It was quietly waiting for the day I would be honest with myself, waiting for the day I'd finally stop pretending I was fine, waiting for you. There are moments that come like waves, unexpected, uninvited, but powerful. Moments when I see a couple on the street, laughing in that way we used to laugh. Moments when I wake up from a dream that felt too real. Your hand in mine, your head on my shoulder, our laughter echoing through an imaginary hallway. And for 1 second, I forget you're gone. I forget the damage, I forget the distance, I just feel. And baby, those are the moments that undo me. Because if your memory still has the power to bring me peace in dreams, then it's not over. At least, not for me. Sometimes, I catch myself staring into nowhere, and your name rolls off my lips like a whisper I didn't even know I was holding. And that's the thing about real love. It leaves fingerprints on your soul. You can move cities, you can change friends, you can even change the way you speak, the way you look, but you cannot outrun the one who woke your soul up. And baby, you woke me up. Baby, I was performing. I was surviving. I was charming on the outside and empty on the inside. But with you, I felt seen. I felt like I could fall apart and still be worthy of being held. And what kills me is that you never asked me to be perfect. You never demanded grand gestures. All you ever wanted was honesty, presence, effort, and I failed you at the very thing you craved most, emotional safety. I thought I was protecting you by hiding us from the world, but what I was really doing was protecting myself from the depth of your love. Because baby, your love scared me. Not because it was dangerous, but because it was too real. It stripped away everything fake. It called out the man in me who wanted to show up, but didn't know how. And instead of stepping into it, I stepped away. I still remember that one night. Maybe you do too. You were sitting there quietly, not asking for much, just looking at me, waiting for something more than my presence. You didn't say it, but your eyes begged, just show me I matter. And I didn't. I sat there numb, not because I didn't love you, but because I loved you so much I didn't trust myself not to mess it up. And in trying not to fail you, I failed you in the worst way. By disappearing when you needed me present. By disappearing when you needed me present. Now I walk through my days with this constant ache. I go through life's routines, but everything feels off. Like a song missing its chorus. Like a house without light. You were my light. And now, even the brightest moments feel dim without you there to witness them. I want to send you messages I never send. I want to tell you how proud I am every time I see you evolving. I want to remind you that even if I look silent on the surface, my soul is anything but. My soul still calls out for you, baby. And if somehow, in some corner of your world, you still think of me, if there's even one moment where your heart aches for closure, or clarity, or confirmation, let this message be it. Let this be the moment you realize that no matter how far I drifted, you were always home. Not a place, not a convenience, a home. I still believe in us. Not the version that broke, but the version we never fully got to become. The version where we both show up healed, brave, open, honest. I believe in the version of us that doesn't need to hide behind fear, that holds each other through storms, that celebrates loudly, that argues with love, that never stops choosing, even when it's hard. And if that version still lives inside you too, just know that my arms are open. No pressure, no timeline, just presence. Baby, sometimes I wonder how different everything would be if I had just chosen you out loud. If I hadn't let my fears speak louder than my love. If I had held your hand in front of the world and said, "This is her, she's mine. She's the one who taught me how to feel again." Because the truth is, I've imagined 1,000 lifetimes with you. Quiet mornings, shared glances, coffee in hand, your head on my chest, laughter in the kitchen, soft music in the background. I've imagined fights too, not the ugly kind, but the kind that end with apologies whispered in the dark, and your fingers finding mine again like they never let go. I've imagined us building something sacred, not perfect, but real, and every time I try to imagine that with someone else, my mind drifts back to you. You were never just a passing season. You were the blueprint, the fire, the reason, and yet I let you walk through pain alone. I let the silence grow. I let you believe you were too much or not enough when you were always everything. There were so many chances, so many moments when I could have called, could have shown up, could have apologized without pride, could have said, "I don't have it all figured out, but I can't imagine figuring it out without you." But I didn't. I sat in silence, hoping you'd read the words I never typed, hoping you'd understand the meaning behind the songs I posted, hoping you'd feel me across time and space and know I was still yours, even if I didn't say it. But baby, you deserved more than hope. You deserved certainty. You deserved a love that didn't flinch when things got hard. And I'm not here to ask you to forget the hurt. I know I caused it, I carry that weight, but I am here to tell you, I see it all now. The way you loved me, the way you waited, the way you stayed silent out of self-respect when you could have begged, the way you let go, not because you stopped loving me, but because you started loving yourself. That took strength. That taught me more than any lesson life could throw at me. Because your absence wasn't empty. It was loud. It screamed the truth I wasn't ready to hear. You were not the problem. I was not prepared, but I am now. Not because I figured everything out, but because I figured you out. I figured out that what we had wasn't temporary. It wasn't replaceable. It wasn't a phase or a fantasy. It was divine. And if life ever gives me another chance, another sacred moment to stand before you, I won't waste it. I won't overthink it. I won't analyze every flaw or calculate the risk. I'll simply say what I should have said all those years ago. It's always been you. And this time, I'll mean it in every action, in every word, in every heartbeat. Baby, if you're still listening, if even a sliver of your heart stayed with me long enough to reach the end of this message, then maybe this wasn't just a confession. Maybe this was a reunion in disguise. A reunion not of bodies, but of truths. Because when everything else fades, love doesn't. Real love leaves fingerprints. It lingers, it teaches, it haunts, and it heals. There's a part of me that still wonders if I'm too late, if I waited too long, if I hesitated at the very moment I was supposed to leap. But if this journey has taught me anything, it's that love isn't about perfection. It's about intention, and mine has never wavered. Even when I was distant, even when I was silent, even when I looked like I didn't care. And I know now that the silence hurt you. I know now that the waiting tested your soul. But baby, you passed the test. I failed. You kept loving in a world that gave you every reason to stop. You kept praying for someone who didn't always show up. You kept believing, even when I gave you doubt. And maybe that's what this was all for. To help me finally see you. Not just the version of you I wanted to mold into my comfort zone, but the full, sacred, raw you. The one who didn't need fixing. The one who just needed holding. If this is the last thing I ever get to say to you, let it be this. I'm sorry. I see you. I honor you. I need you. And if there's any space left in your heart for me, I will earn it. Not through more promises, but through presence, through consistency, through becoming the man who no longer runs when things get deep, but dives into the depth with you. The man who no longer hides you, but highlights you. The man who chooses you, not when it's convenient, but when it's costly, when it's sacred, when it's real. Because this time, baby, I'm not walking away. This time, I'm standing in the fire, with open arms. And if your heart whispers back a yes, I'll hear it, I'll feel it, I'll rise with it. And to those of you who made it here, to the end, I just want to say thank you. This wasn't just a video, this was a testimony, a soul pouring itself out across the screen. And if this touched you, if it reminded you of someone you still hold on to in silence, if it gave your own pain a voice, consider leaving a super thanks. Not because you have to, but because maybe, just maybe, you believe in love like this too. Because somewhere out there, someone is waiting for a sign. And maybe this video was that sign. Thank you for watching. Thank you for feeling. And thank you for believing.